Kyle Dubas appeared on a Canadian-based podcast yesterday that in general was just so awful, I'm not even going to mention the name of it. But when the GM speaks, it's news, and when the GM addresses the team's future, when that future seems to still be unclear for a lot of people, we're going to talk about it. Good morning to you. Good Friday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Penguins. It comes your way bright and early every weekday if you're into football and or baseball. I also offer daily shots of the Steelers and the Pirates, and I hope you'll take the time to check those out as well. In summary, and in sparing you from having to go and endure it yourself, the closest Dubas came to actual news was saying that Arturs Silovs, the newly acquired goaltender from Vancouver, is going to get, and I'm quoting directly here, a runway for him to live through the ups and downs a little bit, end quote. Now, whether that means he's automatic to be in the NHL or not, you can interpret that a lot of different ways, but it sure doesn't sound like he was acquired as some sort of AHL depth, as I'd been saying myself all along. He also made the usual remarks about the timeline, quote, trying to return the team back to being a contender and one that can sustain itself once it's there. New quote, our push and our goal and everything that we do is about trying to build a team that can be a contender before those players go off into the sunset, end quote. And those players, of course, is a reference to Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, Chris Letang, and so forth. But somehow amid all this nonsense, and the weirder that I make this podcast sound, the more likely you are to go and listen to it. So I got to kind of watch it here. The most intriguing statement, I thought, came from Dubas when he was talking about the coming season, and he said, the way I look at this and the coming seasons is trying to identify the players who are going to form that core group. Hitting pause here for a second, he's talking about the next core group. Unpause. That's both at the NHL level and at the developmental level, our players in Wilkes-Barre and Wheeling, but also that are outside the system, whether that's a Will Horkoff at the University of Michigan, or Bill Zonon in Blainville, or Ben Kindle in Calgary, or Harrison Brunick in Kamloops, and on down the list, end quote. So what he did there, and this is, he's not sitting there scripting it. It's not a rehearsed podcast. And if anything, given the caliber of some of the questions that he was being asked, it's easy to forgive anything that he would have said in this time. But using the term core, that felt deliberate. Okay, that felt like that's what he's seeking. He's seeking a collection of younger players, regardless of position, around whom the Pittsburgh Penguins can be framed. Now, just to add a little bit of context here to this, the reason that he cited those four guys is he was doing that after he used the phrase outside the system, meaning not in Pittsburgh, Wilkes-Barre, or Wheeling. So it's not like he's saying, oh, Ville Koivunen can't possibly be part of it. Nuh-uh. It's not anything like that. It's that he's seeing and he's putting forth to the younger players in the organization, including the prospects who aren't even signed to pro contracts yet, or in the pro ranks, to be more accurate, that we're watching you. We want you to elevate your game. Wherever you happen to be, we want you to feel like you're blossoming into an important piece of what we're putting together. And I've got to say, that's a pretty cool way of looking at it. Even better if all concerned can pull off implementing it in a convincing way. I've shared with you many times the story, and this goes to previous management, so it's not applicable here, of that one morning in Winnipeg when I was asking Sam Lafferty about, finally making it to the NHL and who along the way he might have patterned his game after, and he points across to where Brian Russ was sitting and said, we're all told to model our game after him. That's when you have a developmental philosophy that carries across levels, that carries across positions, even carries across, nationalities and cultures. See this guy? Play like him. Be responsible like him. Work like him. If you can be like Brian Rust, you can be a Penguin. So I don't want to make a big deal out of this. He did not, to repeat, pinpoint these guys as the next core. But that's just such a healthy mindset to have and to apply at this juncture of where the franchise is. And I thought it was one worth highlighting today. When we come back, J1Q. This episode is brought to you by Bet Online, your number one source for all your summer sports needs this season. From Major League Baseball, golf, NHL, NBA playoffs. Get the latest odds and lines, including all team matchups, player props, odds on just about everything that's out there. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Bet Online, where the game starts. Today's J1Q comes from Kate, who in reference to the 16 sets of back-to-back games that the Penguins will have this coming NHL season, says, ridiculous, but at least we can look forward to the idiots at the NHL jamming a couple more games in every year, and the Stanley Cup final maybe being finished before fireworks on Independence Day, right? For anybody who doesn't know Kate's reference, there's going to be an 84-game schedule thanks to the new collective bargaining agreement, which I'll insist, just as I have about 82, is way too many to just determine which 16 teams out of 32 are going to make your playoffs. I never heard a single hockey fan anywhere say, wow, I just wish there was more to the regular season. Just as I never heard a single hockey fan anywhere say, boy, I really like these divisions. I like trying to piece together every night or every morning when I'm looking at the standings who's actually qualified for a playoff spot, or who's in a wild card, or who's in this bracket or who's in that bracket, instead of just having Eastern Conference, Western Conference. 8 teams make it on this side, 8 teams make it on that side. 1 plays 8, 2 plays 7. You get the idea. That's what fans actually want. A lighter regular season schedule and no hockey that makes it into July is also what I hear that fans want. Neither of those appear to be imminent, to say the least, even though, as I see it, Kate, there's a pretty simple solution here. Just start a little earlier. Start training camp in the preseason, maybe a week or 2 earlier. And this year, I understand there's some different considerations. I'm very, very much in favor, as are NHL players, of participating in the Olympics. That's going to knock out about 3 weeks in the middle of the regular season. And what they did as a result, that I mentioned yesterday, is they really compacted December, January, and March around the Olympic February. That's going to result in more injuries, in whatever. We could do this all day, Kate. There's been some good that's come from Gary Bettman as commissioner. I've never taken a one-size-fits-all approach to criticizing him. And in fact, I've gone an extra mile when it comes to retracting criticism that I had of him for a very long time for allowing the game to become as boring as it was fairly early in his tenure. The game has never been faster, more exciting, or for that matter, safer than it is right now. But the list remains long. I'm not going to lie. I appreciate you, Kate. I appreciate everybody who listens to Daily Shot of Penguins. We're going to be back with another one of these on Monday.